Okay, so hey guys, welcome back. My name is Caballero, and as you can see, I'm playing Shroud of the Avatar, and I'm also listening to the R41 Postmortem of the game. So you might hear somebody talking besides me, and those are the Portalarium team. So I'm basically playing while I'm basically mining while I'm listening to them talk about R41. I also submitted a couple of questions uh, um, regarding R41. Well, not really. It's not really about R41, but still, I submitted a couple of questions, and hopefully they will, get to it and respond to that. But in the meantime, while I'm watching them, listening, I'm going to, play Shroud of the Avatar and continue mining. So right now we have Lord British talking. Okay, so Lord British and Chris Pierce are wearing the same shirts. And it seems it was from the Moongate Travelers Guild, one of the popular guild, I believe, in Shaun of the Avatar. Moongate Travelers, if not the bigger or biggest, I'm not sure. I'm sure the biggest is BMC, because BMC is like all over the place. Oh, by the way, please check out my YouTube channel, because I have my latest videos are my latest Market Watch videos are already posted. I have a Market Watch video for Ordinis Mortis, Oceania, and Blackrock Cove. Of course, Lord British, you can't please everybody. If you change something in the game, someone might like it and someone might not like it. Now they're talking about killing kids. What? Come on. Can I even say that in a video? Ah, I never win. Whenever they give away prizes, I never win. Come on, Loom, mention my name. It's Caballero Kid. Well, I didn't hear my name that time, unfortunately.
R41 was that we got localization restart. So we are now back in full swing of running sandbox in multiple languages. So that was very exciting. And we're using a new platform called Sonata, and we're still looking for folks who want to help out with that. So we're posting forums in our region.
So for those who are interested in helping out, Shroud of the Avatar, localize or translate the game to your local language, well, there is a forum post about it. So just go to the official Shroud of the Avatar forum, look for that post under announcement, I believe, and then lend your help or lend your service for free, of course. Okay, so Lord British is going to give away one of his books, his new book, Explore and Create.
I released my first solo book effort, or I worked with the co-author when I book effort I led, called Explore Create, and I put in a mission patch sticker to this one, and I'll autograph it here for the winner.
Okay, so the book is going to be autographed by Lord British. So that is going to be a good addition to your collection if you are a Lord British fan.
And we saw some people were curious, like, why is Richard at Ubisoft? And so just to give you guys a little background about that, so a producer who works there, a guy named Jeff Scully, he used to work at Mythic. And when Mythic took over Ultima Online, he was actually the producer running the department that ran Ultima Online, and he was actually a producer who did Ultima Forever. And so we know Jeff from way back, and Jeff reached out several months ago. Yeah, literally, Jeff just called me on the phone, sent me an email first, and said, hey, I'd like to come up to sunny Quebec City, where the winters get down to minus 50 degrees Celsius. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a great time. But to actually, they're starting a whole series of kind of high-end talks where they're trying to bring in leading game developers on a regular cadence. I was the second person to come do it, and it's a bit of a journey just because it's even from my other home base in New York City, there's only one flight a day in or out back to New York from Quebec City, so it's a bit tricky going there. So I actually spent a couple days up there. We got to do some spying on what they're doing up at Ubisoft.
So Lord British talking about spying at Ubisoft. Okay, so he did a talk in Ubisoft. I've already watched it. If you haven't, just go and search for it in YouTube. It's not Ubisoft, it's Ubisoft. My goodness, they call it Ubi Talk, where guests like Lord British talks to the the people in Ubisoft, I believe. So go and search for that in YouTube. It's already up. It was broadcasted live in Facebook, but the version that I watched was in YouTube.
Jumping down at 2112 Starman asks, are rewards still being given out for bug testing on QA? Yes, they are. And I think this got written right before we had a slight delay on giving out the rewards this time.
Okay, so Starlong is now answering questions. So hopefully my two questions gets answered or get answered.
Interestingly, though, our QA build was actually a lot more stable this time around than usual. There were a lot less bugs on the QA build than this time around, so we actually had some complaints because there weren't as many bugs to report on the QA build to get rewards. So sorry about that. We'll work on that next time.
Yeah, fear not.
In fact, it's not going to be a problem, I promise. Let's see. Round Cook Jason asks, when public buildings can come online, including things like the stage from the Kickstarter structural computer system. Well, you guys have access to the Q2 schedule, so obviously it's not going to be Q2. So probably sometime later this year. Let's see, Rihanna.
Well, no, by the way, I think it's worth pointing out that sort of related is I saw the pin building that is being built, which looks great. I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yep. Yeah, so we are actively working on the export of the RAN system. So there's a lot of active work being done on the system and build the capability and stuff like that. So, if that counts as a public building,
yeah, some of the tech coming on for rent will probably also matter for that, so it's good to have that.
Yeah.
That progress is being made.
Rhiannon, speaking of that, in support of that, this one goes right into that one. Are there any plans for a way to send gold to another player in game that's offline, like a check or something, or mail?
Yeah.
So, mail, which is going to be an integral part of the ring system, intent, is going to be a way for you to be able to send gold. So, yes.
Maybe you'll send other things.
And packages.
Oh, okay. So we'll be able to send mail and packages.
So you'll be able to send packages, and you'll be able to send gold.
Can I send an elephant?
Okay, that will make selling or delivering items that you sell or sold easier.
That's an object. So you could send an animal, right?
You did it great.
Well, you would send the next color.
Unfortunately, that will not cause any problems like lost packages, like in real life, you know.
I got this. No.
Explain.
The reason
I thought you weren't gonna. I thought you were gonna be really careful. You're not supposed to get a person who gets the arrows in their back by saying bad moves. Yeah, where's the rest of us? We were gonna try to protect him.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid another music video.
What?
Yeah.
Alright. Anyways, the reason you can't is because switching modes actually throws you into a new scene, so it gives you a way to switch scenes right in the middle of another scene, which has multiple implications. One, it's costly on the server side because we have to reinitialize some stuff and move stuff around, but also it can be used as a way to get out of a scene, out of a dangerous situation. And also be used to try and force resets on scenes and other things like that. So we're not going to remove the 20-second timer. It's needed, so you can't do something like Starr.
Yep, the 20 seconds timer is not really that big deal, okay? So other games are using that.
That type of problem, but it also happens. We could evaluate looking at other things like if you're not PvP and you're in a city scene,
And you're not set to duel.
yeah.
So
Yeah, we could do that, but then the other one, like I said, there's implications in terms of when you switch scenes, that has to initialize on our server and that entire data for that scene again. And that actually is fairly costly on power, so it's something we want to discourage people doing.
haphazardly.
Yeah, we don't want you rapidly switching scenes when we can avoid it.
Okay. Mischievous Dragon asks, the starter clothes are already dyeable. Would you add the feature of the magic mirror to choose colors for starting abilities and creating a new character? That's a good suggestion. We'll get in the backlog.
Hold it.
Let's see, Cypher Black asks, is it possible to allow us to continue to access things like the social stuff like chat and friends UI with the scenes loading?
It's possible and something we've talked about. It is a fairly large task. We need to refactor that. We do kind of need to refactor it anyways. But it is something that could be pulled out. It's just not on the short list. It's not trivial. And then the other part of that is our real hope is that we make those scenes, those transitions much quicker so that you weren't thinking about how to entertain yourself.
Yep, the solution to that is make transitioning or loading screens load faster. So
We need to improve our load time.
if scenes are loading faster or
All right,
quicker,
Diego,
you don't need to put
UI
chat
well, welcome.
and other things in there.
We scale the UI elements. So many are not. Some have have to retain minimum resolution and widths. Like for instance, your list inventory has to maintain a minimum width, just because otherwise the columns will disappear and things like that. So some things, even if we do make them resizable, they will have a minimum width to them, which will make the resizability questionable value, but
And there are some currently non-movable ones that there's already JIRAs in that I put in to make movable, like the timer for when you are harvesting, etc. Right now always sits behind my text window.
Yeah.
And so there's JIRAs in on others.
Fixed fairly soon. So yes, those many of those will get changed over time.
And as we see some that seem compelling, like the soda maps, recently you'll notice it can go much smaller now. That was actually not trivial. Dr. Bob, I think, did a good job of figuring it out. I'm not sure how he managed to bypass the normal minimum. But it was taking up, in my mind, too much screen real estate.
Also, for those on a related topic, one of the things coming in for R42 that wasn't really obviously ridiculous, but it's something that was infuriating to me and others, I'm sure, is the left bar where you have everybody in the party. If anybody's ever been in a party, at least high level, high skill adventure, like there's so many buffs on them that they're carrying on to the next. You can't even see who the people are in the party. All you see is this whole big sheet of buffs from everybody. Because by the time you get 3 rows of buffs, it covers them. So that's been reworked now, and it should actually handle a large number of buffs.
All in 1 row?
All 2 rows. I wanted show a buff symbol and then plus X and then show like the last 7 for casters. We didn't quite get that. We have something in there that's good. I'm also adding a property to buffs so that they can be set to be not displayed to others. Because one of those is there's like a lot of long-term type buffs, like if you use it when sitting in potion, that shows up on there. And you know what, that buff last week, people don't need to see that you have that on you, so I'm going to make those so they hide just to have less information you have to communicate to all the people around you. And also because it removes a lot of clutter, you can see the buffs you really care about. Because what you care about is being poisoned or set on fire or ruined or whatever.
Yep. All right. Chetty MIT asks, can you remove decoration item number limit in the player-owned town?
Speaking of setting servers on fire.
Yeah. No. So every item that you put down is what is called a dynamic item, and what that means is anytime that item changes position or orientation or state, that item's state has to be broadcast to everyone in the scene. That it means it is highly intensive to the server and every client that is connected to that scene. That is why there has to be limits to that. So that is why every time you go into a scene with player housing, those scenes tend to be slower in performance than, say, an adventure scene, i.e. scenes without player housing. So we have to have limits on those scenes. Player-owned towns are examples of that. Now, with that said, we do, as we make performance optimizations, we do want to increase those limits, but we cannot remove them entirely. I mean, the game would grind to a halt immediately.
Okay, so I'm going to try and turn up my background music so that you guys can hear what they're talking about clearly.
Experience and the UI associated with it, as well as performance of the main game, load times, frame rates, consistency of the frame rates, and so we actually think we have a lot of work to do to keep those things improving, and that suggestion actually would go exactly counter to that. So until we fix some of those other things, it'll be unlikely to lift them much. They have been lifted a few times already in the past, so they have actually gone up. So reasonable odds they will go up, but not until we make some gains.
Yep. let's see, Avatar GG, when will the map feature be available on Linux? So, unfortunately, that has a couple of dependencies. The plugin that Jacob is using doesn't support Linux yet. The guy who wrote the plugin, we're waiting on him to finish, I believe.
Any day now.
Yeah.
But out of our control as to what that actually means.
Right, and so we're like 2 layers. There's 2 orders of removal beyond us. So there's the guy who wrote the plugin that Jacob is using has to finish Linux support, and then Jacob has to add that plugin support, take that plugin, and then update SodaMap to use the new plugin that the guy wrote. Then once Jacob has done that, then we have to update Shroud to use the new version of SodaMap that Jacob is using. So we've got a few layers of dependency there that we have to work through. So any day now.
So guys, give them a break when it comes to SodaMap, because it's being done by an outside person, and he's doing it for free. Okay.
So missing for so long.
But we all know Linux users are smarter than the average user, so you guys really don't need Macs because you're like brainy guys anyway.
Nice.
Or you, by the way, you can always bring up some maps on the side.
Let's see, Tamsin, can we
Yep.
have a...
You can always go to sotamap.com or use Sota Navigator. I'm not sure if Sota Navigator is or has Linux support.
The map doesn't fade and always become. I have the same complaint about it.
Okay, I got it. You're coming.
We totally should do it, and obviously this is like 3 lines of code, and I think it's just one of those things that it's frustrated a lot of
We're
us.
on
But
it.
it basically,
We're on
and
it.
it doesn't just fade out; it goes like the practically invisible.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Right.
two-handed.
Then you got to mouse over it, and
I know.
back for 6 minutes.
I'm with you. I get it.
Tamsin, you're right, and we're gonna do this one, and we're about to do the next one you asked. Can you make the whisper and local text colors not such a similar shade of blue? Or let us assign different colors to different people's whispers and not local.
It's Whisper and what the other one? Whisper and Local?
Local text. I agree, they look the same to me, but again, I'm partially colorblind. so-
And yes, we probably should put those as like a register setting or something where you can go set a RGB value on them.
Yeah. But the default blue color shouldn't be so close, because they look identical to me too.
You're colorblind.
Yeah.
Partially.
Enough.
Disciple of Web. You need plans on showing an XP decay value in the UI so people will know how much they can lose.
First of many decay questions to come. Yes, that actually, I put in my daily blog today that I'm expecting to get for R42, there'll be a small icon that'll show you kind of like you used to have your arrested experience and you have like all your buffs and stillness buffs, but there'll be one that will be XP. accumulated.
Okay, so another thing on our screen.
That Sean guy. When can we
So
do our
decay never really bothered me, my goodness. Even when I was it was implemented
Sometimes if you
um,
go there and the website's
a while ago, but it had never really bothered me. I just play the game.
maybe that.
Are we planning to bring up our own local data version of it, or right now we go to his site with the data
Ongoing
server.
discussions, but
Yeah.
Yeah, because it should be up to speed, period, at all times. Whatever the latest data is, you should have it. But I've also seen it where we can, there's enough players where we can, slow down his system. So we'll look into that if that's what you're referring to. We're kind of an ongoing thing.
Yeah. Darden Obscuro. When will we see UI improvements for agriculture to allow planting and watering entire containers? Maybe Q3, hopefully. Definitely this year. Mind Blast, can you make an automatic rolling animation when player characters fall high enough to ground? Addition to falling always on feet per time.
Kind of a middle distance, where you fall down.
Like if you fall from a high height,
Yeah,
you don't
high,
die,
don't die,
you
fall
roll,
down.
and
Yeah, just fall to not just squatting.
sure.
All right.
Is it possible to have flavor descriptive text for dialogues? And what is the general opinion on that?
Say it again.
Is it possible to have flavor descriptive text for dialogues?
This is you, Richard. This is there's a long running thread on the boards right now about how you hate when we write an NPC feels or thinks something, but has to only say what they're actually saying. And whenever we add text like that, you report it as a bug.
That is true. So is the request to add more of it or to remove more of it?
There is request to add more of it.
You are dead set against.
That's correct. I'm dead set against it. So I'm happy to have that discussion with others in an ongoing way. But I personally am of the mindset that that you can't see into the mind of a character, and so I'm not personally excited about conversation where she says coyly, or more importantly, that she thinks about it for a minute and then points to the sky and says that's where the rocks came from. As a general rule, we need to add the emote points at the sky, and then she says that's where the rock came from. And so I'd rather fix when those issues come up. I'd rather fix it by adding emotes to the characters rather than fixing it by adding text, parenthetical text to the character.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Not that there are points where you wouldn't want it. I just would like to solve it with acting versus
Yep.
text.
All right. Sir Brenton.
Text is
any
easier
thoughts
though
getting a better visual
than
experience?
adding emotions or emotes.
Right.
But
And,
having emotes is more
I have
immersive.
problems with is who is selected. That's one that I already have geared up that should be in for R42. Changing a few. If someone hard selected right now, this tiny little pale red circle that goes over somewhere in their body, you absolutely can't see it, and it's very frustrating. And so the nameplate will be changing for the guy who's targeted, so you can tell that. But yeah, I don't really have that many problems with cursor. Maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, me either.
The cursor is visible. It's my target that is a problem. And fixing the target is absolutely.
So if the question is
my
target,
hot
he's
list
on it.
this release.
Shakobijan, can we have a color or icon separation of added potions in the combat hub? Not sure.
In the combat hotbar. Yeah, so there's this one designer that adds all the potions, and he is lazy and doesn't ask for new potion icons. He throws in a bunch of potion stuff, and we need to talk about that guy about giving potion icons.
Is that guy sitting next to me right now?
Richard? No. Yeah. That is.
So we need some
Crispy is like dissing himself.
Not actually asking somebody. I was tempted to go do some.
At least he knows that it's his fault and he's not blaming anyone.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, alright. That's easily solved. Alright. Cypher Black, is there a time of day or day of the week effect that affects success rates when crafting or master crafting? Not yet. We actually have some back-end tech to support time of day affecting crafting. We just haven't done any data work.
For example, position of the sun. If you're imbuing a thing with gold, it ought to favor the sun being up, and if you're imbuing it with silver, it ought to favor be more probable when the moon is up.
Something like that.
That sounds cool, but the reality is, it's like, what the hell? I gotta wait a month. I gotta wait a game month for the moon to get up. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well. It's a cool idea, though. But yeah,
Sounds
we do
good.
have plans on that for bigger stuff, just not everything. That
Yeah.
silver and gold.
That will make crafting harder.
Which is why there's players.
Right. And so
Some people are already complaining
level as success rate.
about Shroud of
But
the Others
instead,
crafting.
what we plan to do
Adding that might
calendar
add more people to the
celestial
complainants.
special effects. So like some really unique rare proc that only is available at a certain time of the month. That you would only get if you waited to craft at this one place in the this one special crafting area when the moon and when the moon and a certain constellation aligns at a certain time, and that's the only time of the year that this special set of enchantments shows.
Okay, so of course the casual players will complain about it because they can't play long hours every day. So
eventually, TM, a game year is only 2 real-time weeks, and so eventually seasonal issues of planting and harvesting should come to bear, but that's still a ways off.
Yeah. Amethyst 25 has a bunch of crafting questions. Are there any plans for the search tool for the recipe book? Of course, having alphabetize for recipes, yes.
Boy, you think there's so many recipes to know where they are quickly? What? I don't know what you're saying.
That would be great. I would love to have that myself.
Yeah, me too.
I would love to have this one too. Recipe vendors are their plans to set it so that players can see which recipes they have not purchased, or having an option to hide previously purchased recipes. Yes, we want to do that too. That would be awesome. Collecting water would be possible to collect more than one bucket of water at a time. Yes, that's going to be when we get around to agriculture improvements. Also, not just collecting lots of water at a time, but also being able to do mass watering of plenty of things. Rule free. Is the fancy shirt and hat one-man band recipes currently in the game? No, thanks for pointing that out. We just caught that. We have the regular ones in there, but we missed those. We have the recipes and we have the assets. We just didn't get the. I talked to B already about this because I saw this earlier. So B and I fixed that this morning. Rufus Disparity. Could you let Mr. Kinnear work on leaf armor to accompany the wonderful shield weapons he produced for the spring telethon? Sounds like a great goal for next spring telethon. With the introduction of the ancient column city home and its Greek-inspired architecture, might we see Greek-inspired armor in the form of Greek muscle armor, band braces, greaves, crested Corinthian helm, Greek crown shield? Yes, those are great ideas at some point.
So you're incoming.
Brown coat Jason is the only source of patterns going to be through salvage. No, the plan is for patterns to appear as loot drops and also be purchasable on merchants. We've just only done the first part, which is to have them in salvage. For instance, like book covers are now, all the current book covers are going to be going on merchants as purchasable items.
You don't have to sell. You don't have to tear up a book and burn the inside contents to sell the cover.
No. No. Right now, that's the only way to get them. But,
I like the salvage method.
But next release, you'll be able to buy them.
If you want to prove you react to player feedback, they're all streaming prizes.
Oh, prizes!
okay, prizes.
Prizes sounds like a great
Again,
idea.
I've never won a prize during this hangouts.
I'm doing 2 rounds this round because we flew straight through 3:30. Let's just do 4 o'clocks as well. Yeah. So 2 rounds of Coda, $10 worth of Kodos, 1 for Camel Book, 1 for Adam Crow.
Ah, not me again. Anyway, congrats. Congrats to Adam Crow and the other guy.
Crafting sigil for Collared Cloak goes to Dark Viper. A wood duck decoration pet goes to Lagerfeld. An Ancient's tabletop set for Lady Ajou. And a Noble's tabletop set to Nassim Folu.
Oh, those are great prizes.
Well, if they wanted prizes, they got prizes.
All right.
Prizes and more prizes. Thank you for staying with us here, everybody.
Jumping back in.
Give me some prizes. Come on, give me some prizes.
So, we've got all of the expiring items for the telethon. So we're having our summer telethon on the 31st, and all of the aeronaut items. That includes the aeronaut outfits, the hot air balloon decoration, the airship homes, the Star Citizen items, including those bundles. That all those items are on sale, and they will be expiring during the telethon.
Excellent.
So all of those are on sale.
Get your aeronautical futurism. Get it now.
All right, 2112 Starman. Can we refine artifact musical instruments farther? Can we get more? Consider 1 minute bucks.
Sure. Again, I threw those in. I think most people have heard me say I threw those in kind of as an experiment to see if people would be silly enough to play as the bard in our game. And that people kind of like playing as bards in the game,
I want to.
even though they're kind of intentionally bad in a lot of ways, and kind of half broken, but half broken
Well,
by
better to start by not something too powerful.
Yeah. So yeah, sure. I think there's more of those.
Here, I'm gonna make a list of that. Show me what the state of the art is, and let's go check it out.
What instruments are there?
There's 6 right now,
Okay.
but I just used, there's 2 of each. I forget which ones I had, like the loop, and I don't know, players in. But they're, like I said, they're kind of all semi-half broken. Like there's one that makes everybody near you run faster in your party, but you don't run faster. And then there's another one that
you
is,
can't keep up.
so you can't keep up. And then there's another one that is also popular, that is the stealth one, where everybody in your party gets stealth, but you don't get stealth. But yeah, we could definitely
Pay no attention to me, I'm a wandering minstrel.
There's no one around me.
There's no one around
and
me.
I'm by myself. I'm totally by myself.
And I'm unarmed.
I get bugs on those every release, by the way, to teachers will say, why? Actually, I don't run fast when I play my move.
By the way, just so everyone understands the whole point of artifacts, if artifacts are supposed to have a powerful benefit with a downside, unlike crafted gear. That is the point of artifacts. So that crafted gear still is clearly better, and that artifacts have cool, unique effects to them, but they have a downside to them.
And I think most of the high-end players get that, but I mean, there's still some items out there that are interesting and have effects that are different than others, so there's still somewhat desirable.
Yeah.
But like for instance, I gave away to PvP group, I gave away an assassin's blade, like a new blade that drops in the fall that's super rare, and the guy took it and said, "Yay! I can put this on my wall."
Yeah.
So people want them because they're cool and they're unique looking, but also not always valuable.
Yeah.
By design.
Skyo, can we get enchanters and masterworking and higher levels to be able to see more options right now, no matter what level of either you are, or the resources are available? Part of that is symptomatic of the fact that we just don't have, we haven't written enough enchantments and masterwork options yet. And that'll get better over time as we just make more. Right now we just have one systems designer, so it's just.
And I drew a line on the wall behind me because this is also one of those times where see that's me going on the wall.
Underwater. Yeah. So, yes, that will get fixed as we get more. Are there any current plans to add some sort of benefits to specialization? For example, 110% effectiveness in one skill tree.
Still something we talk about. I have not put anything in. I'm still kind of trying to balance everything and making that my main focus, and also do things like fix targeting and make sure decay isn't destroying everybody's enjoyment of the game and these other bigger problems. Once that gets in, then I'm going to look at some more of the those type of things, letting players specialize, because that's not really a balance issue. That's it. Once everybody's done, here's the cool tree, cool thing you can do in this one tree. And it may be something like you get reduced decay or no decay in that tree or something like that. So, but again, yes, I do like that idea. It is something we've talked about. Just haven't got to it yet because balance and making the game targeting stuff is more important than that stuff. Star's typing something as you keep talking.
Alright. Michi asks, can we have different armor give different set bonuses?
Yes, it's been a jar on me for about 4 releases. I don't know if I'll get to this release. I think it may be on my to-do.
Do you need a jar? Are you sure you
No, I've already got it. I've already got it identified. But basically the problem is, for those who are not aware, if you wear a full suit of armor, you get a bonus to the benefits of the armor. So if you're wearing a full suit of plate mail, you get like plus 10% damage resistance, which for plate mail is awesome. Cloth user who gets plus 10% of the damage resistance of his crappy cloth armor is not useful in any way, shape, or form. So tailoring those to be tied to the actual armor type, so the cloth, wearing full cloth gives casters benefit. But yes, that will be happening. That is a Jarrett, and again, here's my little water. Well,
Okay. Can we get more, mention again, can we get more cooking recipes or crafts to make the current ones more varied? In fact, yes, eventually we will get more cooking recipes. Then she also would like us to make penguins.
Penguins.
Yeah.
Penguins? What?
Okay. Zero. It won't be pretty very.
Arcade guy. Refining smelting skills aren't in game yet. Would it be possible to get some short-term temp bonus from skills, like a 2% speed for 10 skill until it can be fully implemented?
It's one of those tough ones because adding skills and then taking them away is kind of a pain in the ass on both our part and your part. You spend time getting into those skills and then spending experience on them, and then we could do that though. I mean, that's some of those are pretty much no-brainers in terms of what they'll end up with. Just second at time.
Okay. Harvesting and the sowing seed crafting box dialogues are both very slow, more than fighting in large groups with a party. Is this slow speed intentional to limit the speed of agriculture? No.
Despite what people think, we do not artificially make agriculture even more frustrating than it might already be.
No.
That is almost certainly a server response time.
Zero.
Yeah. I'm here for that.
Okay.
Just asking.
Let's see. Rosemorn asks, with the implementation of book covers, will the Sojourner's Tales printing press gain its intended functionality and Grant's book copied on it with the Sojourner's Tales covers? So I looked this up before, and I think again this is just a misunderstanding of how that printing press works. So the way it works is if you put a blank book in it, it's going to take whatever cover that blank book has in it. But it is a magical printing press, so if you don't put any blank book in it, it should spit out a copy of the book with the Sojourner Tales cover on it. So please check that, and then if that's not working,
It's a bug.
it's a bug. But it's a magical printing press, so you shouldn't have to put any blank books in it. And then if you don't put any blank books in it, any book you use to copy it with
It will create the copy.
will have a Sojourner's Tale cover on it. So, there you go.
We will find out together. Or maybe you've already known. Don't know if anybody tell us.
All right. Let's see. Rosemorn also asks, on the topic of the printing press, would it be difficult to make the printing press change the buy name or add a copy tag?
Apparently no one knew that, by the way. The chat's going crazy. What? Really? Surprise!
Surprise! Yeah, that's how the magical printing press works.
That's how it differs for the regular printing press.
Now they said they're all logging off to go print.
Yep.
Okay. All right. On the topic of the printing press, would it be difficult to make the printing press change the buy name or add a copy tag? I don't know. We could investigate.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, the word copy, I guess the printer could decide whether they really wanted the word copy on the copy or not.
Really, it wouldn't be copied. It would be published, right? You wouldn't want to use the word copy.
Original. Yeah, you want the
Publisher. You'd be the publisher. You were using a printing press.
Yeah.
All right. How many? Rosemorn also asked, how many stars would a dark star darken if a dark star could darken stars?
It's a good.
3.
Oh. Is the number of the counting? The number of counting shall be 3.
All right. Disciple of
Just to
Web.
be clear, that commercial hasn't run in like probably 35 years, so no one knows.
No,
It runs in my head all the time.
All right.
Doesn't it, Matt? You've heard me say that a number of times.
All the time.
Disciple of Web. Will refining skills like meticulous refining be added prior to launch? That is the goal. Let's see, Dargalan. Will there be animal tending abilities in the crafting area, such as rearing livestock for resources? Any kind of animal husbandry or things like that.
But there are long-term zeros for things like milking a cow, shearing a sheep, that sort of thing is in the backlog. But
Yeah.
I even saw the milking cow one come through Jira recently. Maybe just to be pushed.
Yeah. So anything related to directly with like animal husbandry and rearing livestock and all that stuff, probably not going to make episode 1, but we'd like to do something like that. But definitely in the plans, but may not make like launch of episode 1. Keldon Light Hand, I know that brewing is not in yet, but can you add a location tag to the name of the item brewed?
Location tag? You mean literally the town? We could. In theory, it's like the book press where we might want the publisher's name to be associated with it. But I would really rather say who the vintner was, or the brewer, or the person who was laying down the port or the whiskey or whatever it might be. That's plausible. Let me think about geotag versus creator tag.
Okay. Keldon Light Hand also wants to know, when can I get a quarterstaff? I guess when
They want to make quarterstaffs, staffs. Yeah, they want to make them more
Fighting weapon. A pole arm.
I plan on doing that.
Okay.
But that does also require those separate animations, probably.
Yeah.
So, okay.
When we make them?
I think we might have the animations, though. I will need to verify.
Okay. Gringo, I remember reading about crafted gear being able to level. Is this still happening? We definitely, we've talked about this idea of item affinity, and items gaining a reputation, and that's something we definitely want to do eventually. We don't have an ETA on when that will happen, but it's definitely something we want to have. If you kill a
Skeleton Bane.
Yeah, 1,000 skeletons, your weapon gets a title of like Skeleton Bane, gets a bonus against skeletons, things like that. That's something we definitely want to do eventually.
I'll check the Jira for it. I think there's already one, but I'll check it.
Baron Drokus asks, what advantages and disadvantages will crafted robes have over other types of armor? Robes are just going to be cloth armor, so...
There still is also a Jira to, and Richard and I have actually talked about this quite a bit, change up armor to have 3 stats instead of 1 for how much damage it stops, based on, it'll basically be an effectiveness of the armor for, let's see, impact, puncture, and slashing. So when that happens, a few things will get loved, but cloth armor is never intended to be a keep you safe. It's intended to be to not interfere with you type armor. So yeah, we need to come up with more stuff. But that's also part of what I was mentioning earlier with the wearing a cloth set of armor should give you bonuses different than wearing a full suit of plate and armor type of stuff. So it's not damage resistance, but it gives you some type of casting benefit.
Okay. Let's see. Twofold Silence asks, will there ever be craftable belts that I can enchant and or add enhancement jewels to? Yes.
I've seen some floating around even.
Well, so far we've only released a belt as an artifact. We have not done belts as anything else. But yes, eventually you'll be able to craft belts. Would it be possible to replace the need to use silver to masterwork both carpentry and tailoring as some other ore resource? We were just having this discussion earlier today.
Yeah, there's been some problems in terms of balance of use and how much of each type of metal ore is needed just based on design. So there's some discussions going on that may change in the future, not for R42, maybe not this quarter, but hopefully we can get a balance or get a grip on the actual problem of how much iron, like to craft a ring. Basically, you can use like 35 ingots of silver or something like that, or gold, even though it's tiny little ring in it, but it basically just skews all the balance towards the gold and all the demand towards those. But the others are still out there, but because there's not enough gold, no one wants an unenchanted, unmasterwork type thing. It basically just creates a glut of all the iron stuff, and then you end up only making like iron and copper type stuff purely to be thrown away because there's not enough gold and silver to move it up the charts in terms of quality. Yes.
Okay. Belladonna Rose asks, when will my backpack be able to stand up again? It looks stupid laying on the ground. I've actually got QA and Chaos looking at that now, so hopefully in 42. Derek Vizard, are there plans to add tips on estimated material buffs based on the materials on the table and the player proficiency level?
Good
yes, eventually that would be probably helpful to do. That would be good feedback to have.
You did your
Sure. Kashiva, can we please have some sort of toggle on equipment to lock it, make it safe from accidental vendoring or salvaging?
We've talked about this a number of times. We all agree it's a good idea. I don't know if it's been jarred. Starr, do you know if you've created a jar for it?
I don't know.
Jar man.
So anti-salvage, anti-sale lock on items.
Okay.
Got it. Broken tools and ingot molds used.
Okay, so I'm somewhat lagging. I don't know why I'm lagging, but maybe it's because I'm live streaming and playing at the same time. So I'm live streaming this while I'm listening to the R41 Postmortem by Portalarium, the creators of Shroud of the Avatar. And look at that, I have the broken weapon icon. What?
Sounds like a bug, but we'll have to find out why it changed. All
It's
right.
probably because everything broken then shows up in the B's, and then you think you can't find your item, and then we get a support ticket saying, I can't find my broken or my sword, and it turns out it's because it's in the B's instead of the swords.
Right.
So it may have been changed for that.
Sword, broken.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Let's see. Crandall. I logged in yesterday, died, and my XP went from 18,000 to 11,000. Why is the death penalty so high now?
That sounds pretty reasonable to me, actually.
Was
at
this
least
a
in that
bug?
example.
So before we answer that direct question, let's talk about the basic structure of our game, which is that we are a classless system, which means that you are free to learn any skill in the game and explore that skill to just about any level you want. Which means that without any limits, without any, eventually every player could master every single skill in the game.
Eventually, every player would, in fact, master. every
Right.
skill.
Over time, everyone would learn every skill and bring that skill to the highest level possible. Which means there would be no specialization, there would be
No interdependency.
no interdependency. So there has to be a way for us to make it so that not every player knows every single skill, or has every single skill at the maximum level. So we could do that a few ways. One way would be say, okay, no player. We could make players have to choose a class. So, but we're not going to do that because we're a classless system. So we could say that players can only know 25 skills at any given time. And if you want to learn a new skill, you have to unlearn another skill. We could say you can learn any number of skills that you want, but there is a finite amount of points you can have in skills at any given time. So
You could be crummy at a bunch of skills or good at a few skills.
right.
But that also breaks the whole, one of the design goals to make it so you can play multiple roles and switch between those roles. You can't really play them all at the same time, but we wanted you to be able to play as, like, I need to be a tank today, but then I log in and there's already 3 tanks here, so I'm going to, I can switch over and play my healer person.
So what the system, we decided all of those solutions would be suboptimal. We don't think those would necessarily be fun. We want players the ability to learn lots and lots of skills and explore wherever they want and be able to make interesting combinations of, I'm going to be the blade, death, fire, heavy armor, paladin dude. So that's why we have decay. We have decay because we want it so that, you can learn every skill in the game. You can try to learn every skill in the game, but once you get to higher level, it becomes harder and harder to maintain every single skill at maximum level. You could eventually, theoretically, given enough time and perseverance, you could get really close. But it would be really, 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 really hard. Almost impossible. But you could theoretically get there. So that's what decay is there for. That's why we have decay. Now, to put it in perspective, at high levels, even with the maximum amount of decay that we've implemented,
a high-level player can earn almost all the decay that they get hit with 20 to 40 minutes of game.
Just as an example here, I have, since you threw your data out there, I'll use you as an example. Aceless Fireheart. I don't know how to pronounce the first name. Aceless. Anyways, my current decay is 406,026 experience per death per 24 hours. So if he dies, if he doesn't play for 24 hours and dies, when he comes back in, he gets 400. This is also, I will point out that he was one of the guys who was on the top of my who's breaking the experience points per hour meter. I will call him out as he was actually, I won't say which position, he was in the top 3 and was able to earn 900,000 experience points in an hour. So that goes along with that, confirming that a death, yes, it may be a lot of experience points for him, but it also is, again, it's something he can earn back.
Ooh, somebody got called out. Okay, so complain about 400k when he's making like 900k per hour. What? Seriously, 400k is like a piece of cake when you're making like 900k an hour.
20, 40 minutes max of gameplay to earn the worst penalty you could possibly get hit with in the game at the highest level of gameplay. Okay, but we're changing it because we understand that can be painful.
So anyways,
But still our trend. But the main goal though is that I think it's important for everybody to realize that as you lobby us to change things or complain about things, try to make sure you couple your concern with suggestions that still live up to the principles we've already described about wanting to make sure that people can explore broadly but not be masters of all. And so we always want to maintain that as an end result.
Okay, so Murray brings up the point of it's not the top players, it's the casual players who suffer on this. So that is true, which is casual players, but by casual what that means is you're only playing an hour or 2 hours a day versus these guys who play 6 or 7 hours a day. That recovery time that you end up having to have gets greater as you get, becomes a greater percentage of the amount of time you play as a lower level player, which is why for R42, I'm going to be changing the experience loss to be based on the number of hours spent in-game, not in cities, and not in Novi.
Okay, so that is a great change. I'm in favor of that change. Okay, so it's active play, based on active play rather than real time. Okay, so I'm sure many of those who are complaining about decay are going to be happy with this change. Okay, so let's all go and thank Chris. He's not evil Chris today, I guess. Well, he was evil Chris a few minutes ago.
Experience early in the game life when there were a lot of places like control points and other things that were really broken in terms of how much experience they provided. And those guys, because they acquired a ton of experience, they've got it all piled up, and now when they lose, it's really hard to get it back because guess what? We've actually got things more balanced now, how much experience people can earn. So that's one of the things, is we'll be basing the amount you lose on the time played and in adventure zones. And the reason for that is we don't want like someone sitting around in Owl's Head talking or whatever to be punished for that time sitting there and then thinking they're always, well, I'm on the clock, I'm losing experience here as I sit here. We wanted to make sure that it's actually the time spent in there. So that'll definitely help the casual player who is playing an hour a night. They'll accrue, if somebody's playing 8 hours, they'll accrue 1/8 the amount of time lost in there. So it's very proportional to it. There's a couple other big changes going in as well. But that's the big one that I think a lot of people will be excited about. Also looking at a few other things of, again, making sure you can always see how much you have accrued, how much, and then also having a way that you will be able to remove some but not all of the decay experience. This will probably be the equivalent to like an hour a day. This is kind of like we have the, it may not be the Oracle. I said Oracle, and a lot of people were, I do not talk to the Oracle. They're very upset that I would suggest that they have to talk to the Oracle because they think the Oracle wants to kill them. But anyways.
Oracle doesn't want to kill you.
Yeah, why don't they want to talk to the Oracle? Well, the Oracle looks creepy.
But that may not make R42. The change to how experience loss is accrued will definitely make it in there. And another one that I'm investigating is also having one that basically scales based on your skill level. So as you get, you don't lose anything until you hit skill level 40. And then at 40 to 80, it's one value versus 80 to 100, it's another. And then 100 plus skill is another value in terms of making it ramp up. So basically, it makes it really, really painful as you get up higher and higher things. There's already a large penalty involved in that because of the way experience is not linear. Obviously, it takes every 10 points is like 2.5 times the experience to level something up. So that already goes up.
Okay.
They're distracting me on chat.
Sure, let's do some more prizes.
Even though we already did a double dose.
Yeah, we
Love,
did
you got some
double
more?
Time's going fast.
Prizes, okay.
Do another round.
I hope I win this time. Come on, Loom, mention my name. Give me some prize. What? Econdas? Okay, congrats to Econdas.
And a Lich statue to Dragnet.
Ah, okay. Loom didn't say my name again. Anyway, congrats to Econdas.
Right after the dock.
That would be Dragnet with the Lich statue.
Let's see.
Alright, congratulations. Alright, Cypher Black, can we get the functionality switched to any deck rather than a primary Ultima?
Yeah, we haven't looked at it. We just had it set. There wasn't really a design issue for that. It would be nice to be able to change other decks and have them cover like that.
Okay, so I just congratulated my guildmate Econdas for winning a prize.
Just adding that in. That doesn't seem
That hard. I don't think there's really a design reason for that other than just it's how we put it into the interface. But yeah, it'd be just as easy just have them numbered as deck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then let them switch between those if they want to.
Potato, given that R41 had many welcome combat balancing changes, can we expect more of a focus on combat balancing in the coming days?
Absolutely. As we get further and further along, as I already mentioned, there's some things I want to do, but we can't really do those things until we get combat balance. We had, for those who weren't really paying attention, there's a pretty big wrench thrown into, I feel like combat was more balanced around I forget when we added in the different crafting stuff, but it was more balanced at one point about R37, and then it actually got unbalanced because a lot of stuff was thrown into the crafting stuff. We planned on that, but there were some miscommunications in terms of what the effects would be, and some specifics were missed that ended up having some large implications. And then there were a few bugs with them. But anyways, as we get closer and closer to a game that we feel is balanced, I mean, that's combat balance is number one, but also world balance, not just the combat. As I put out a poll for combat stuff and what people consider combat, it's basically every part of the game that is not crafting is considered combat by most people. So it's I'm looking right now at a lot of the skill balance, but also looking at the creature balance and also looking at the just everything balance. That also goes for some crafting stuff too. But yes, more time will be spent on balancing combat. I don't ever want people to be in a situation where they feel like they have to play one specific type of, here's the type, and I see that in the PvP tournaments I pay quite a bit of attention to, is there were really only 1 or 2 viable builds to win PvP tournaments. So I think it's better this release.
All right, the new moon spells are absolutely wonderful additions. So what's the horizon look like for additional new spells, or even abilities within the other trees, example melee?
I continue to look at skills that make sense to add. They're all set up so we can have any number of skills in the trees. It's one of those things, we have a massive backlog of VFX stuff that needs to be done on skills and other stuff as we replace kind of basic VFX with new Daemon VFX that are awesome and amazing, and we get tons of compliment pretty much every time we change out any spell or skill and update the VFX on it. So that's actually one of the limiting things. He's getting more and more caught up by the day. As I look at skill trees, probably Life Magic will be getting at least one new skill or spell. but there's not too many other things that feel like I have to do right now, except for, of course, Chaos Magic, which is the redheaded stepchild, and really needs me to go in and take a serious hard pass.
All right, ground code Jason. Additional effects like procs are on hold for ranged weapons until after the ammo refactoring. Do we have a time frame for this, and why can ranged weapons not use the melee ones until then? Because the reason we have those on hold is because a lot of the ammo is probably going to overlap some of those things that procs would do, and we don't want a conflict, and we don't want to do something where we would just have to take it away later. So that's why they have to sort of be on hold until we do that. Sorry, ranged weapon users.
That includes me.
Let's see, NB. Wire slows and stuns in Magic School is not intelligence-based.
This is one I've mentioned before, not that specific part of it, but the system that is in place for stuns and crowd control type stuff, you know, when you get a hit. This really it hadn't even come up as a major issue until I went back to balance the bludgeons tree this release and looking at why, if I were a bludgeon person, I would not want to play as a bludgeon person, and realizing that we still have the same placeholder resistance system in for crowd control stuns that we've had in since maybe R2 or R3, and somehow we have failed to actually realize that this was never intended to be the real system. Like anytime you get a stun, you get a 20% bonus. That was absolutely placeholder. So I will be taking a look at that. That probably will not make R42, but hopefully R43 we can take a real look at that and get a real system. For those who don't understand what was wrong with the bludgeon tree in terms of the stuns, is the whole defining each of the weapon categories has a defining attribute to it. Swords is awesome because it was just really meant to be damage. Bludgeons was supposed to be stun. Polearm sucks because it was supposed to be moving things around, but that's not really fun and just gets annoying. But anyways, on the bludgeon stun part, the part that failed on that and why it didn't really work and people just avoided it was because all the stuns that it did were really short stuns, which all that meant was you'd use these really short stuns of like 1 second stuns, and you
Question was
disable a
about
creature.
magic stuns.
I know.
Okay.
I'm explaining why that system sucked. Then now thanks for getting me off track there. And then they would gain 20%, that same 20% hard coded bonus for that 1 second stun, which made it absolutely not worthwhile. Which is why bludgeons this release has been moved to, well, stuns are longer for the things to have stun, but also it is now more of a debuff class. And yes, polearms will be getting some more love next release. I gave them a little bit of love this release with the critical damage increase, but they really still need more than that. So I'm done.
Okay.
I was going over the question. There's a lot of raffle.
Well, magic attacks deal more damage when cast from behind, since they can be dodged and missed.
So they can be dodged and missed and parried for a few of them. Not too many of them are parryable. But yes, they should. They don't have... I need to take a look at the critical math for spells so that they can get some of the same advantages as the other things. And currently, yes, it is saying that you can dodge stuff from behind. That is actually true of melee stuff too. Melee.
Yeah. Is it melee? If intelligence doesn't affect spell effects, duration, magnitude, could maybe in the future wands improve these to distinguish pure mages from hybrid casters?
So what things affect each spell is different, and a lot of those, it may seem like there's not a real plan behind it, but there actually is. Some things the skill increases the duration of it, some of them it decreases the cooldown time, some it does other stuff, and there's reasons for all of it, just because there's some things that it's hard to balance. You can't just say, as my int scales up, the amount I slow that guy slows up. We actually did have that logic type stuff in there for a while for slows, which is why I'm using an example, which basically meant that players could get it so, oh my goodness, the creatures just get to a point. Actually, we're getting 99.3% or something like that slow. I think Umari might have been one of the ones who was pointing that out, is all the bonuses that get them down at that level. So I try to not make it a fixed change on everything. But yes, I do need to get more int stuff in there. Right now, int is very, very important for casting in terms of damage. In fact, I think the formula is or was int times 2 plus skill level, so it actually had a very large difference. You can actually go see that by putting on some of the, I think I've got some artifacts in the game right now that lower your int by 20 points or so. And you can see a difference in those. But yes, I will be taking a look at all of that map.
All right, Wolfton. Would it be possible to incorporate a kind of XP refund for a death via the resurrection mechanic to help appease new players getting used to decay?
So hopefully they don't have to get used to decay because it doesn't hit until level, I think there's a player level and also a skill level. Like you don't suffer decay for any skill under 40 currently. Players will, I'm sure, tear me up on chat if I'm wrong about this, but I thought you also didn't lose any decay at all until your adventure level was over a certain point too. So hopefully this is only, again, decay is not meant to hurt new players or even mid-level players. It's meant to cap the power of the highest level players. Currently, just due to some easy implementation decisions, it's a bit off from what we want. But we will be getting there hopefully for R42. I think I have a way to get this in easily. So. But yes, I don't think it really hurts new players.
Or it should.
Much.
Now that we've started to see some new skills come into existence, like Meteor Shower and Fireflies, can we expect to see some fantastic new combos as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, VFX is what we need.
That's our
Current bottleneck.
Caballero, are you guys open to adding a no loot option to PvP? Unlikely.
The game currently, Caballero again, the game currently has Ignite Weapon, a skill that engulfs the weapon in flames. Can we have Freeze Weapon, a skill that covers a weapon in ice, and Shock Weapon, a skill that makes a weapon discharge electricity?
Yeah, I've actually I've considered that, and I have mixed feelings. There's reasons to do it and not to do it, but I try to avoid doing
Okay,
it.
so
Every school has
they're answering my questions. They're not going to do a no loot PvP.
that way. It's kind of a shield, so all of them have some
Just to brainstorm out loud as we were from the things we do. As you know, I actually feel very strongly with
What you said you're trying to avoid, which is making every group be equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
But if what they did is they had different side effects. So, for example, flame adds this damage over time.
Yep.
If the freeze one was a stun effect that basically froze the things as you ran around, and the electrical one, was something else, then
Stuns.
maybe stuns again.
That's the defining. And that we do have. There's also kind of in the same category the fist spells and the bolt spells for each of those that are pretty similar. They pretty much go along with the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been one of those. As I look over what schools need what. That has been one of the things I've considered is making something you can cast on your weapon. Another reason to do it. This is one of those things that I also am very torn about. That some players feel very strongly. Players feel they should be able to play. They only want to be insert your favorite magic category here, caster, and they don't want to have to learn any other spells from any other schools, which means that they are lacking those, like the fire weapon stuff, and they are lacking these other things.
Mm-hmm.
So it would help that type of player, but again, torn up. Starr's reading the forums now. He's bored.
Watch out! Watch out!
Don't get pulled into the forums,
Don't get
man.
pulled into the forums.
Okay. All right. Disciple Web.
Okay, so they answered my question for the first one, the no loot PvP. It's not happening, which is unfortunately. Okay, so most MMORPGs do no loot PvP, and they are very successful with that. Okay, and it's, I believe, one way of getting people to get into PvP. At least get them to try it. Okay, so I guess that's the end of that. So no loot PvP will not happen in Shroud of the Avatar. Now, as for adding weapon effects like Ignite Weapon, I asked if they can add like Freeze Weapon and Shock Weapon. Well, they are, they will look into it, and hopefully they do, because I like casting fire putting fire effect on my blade, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy putting ice on my blade as well as electricity.
With let me get the best gear I can possibly get. Let me set all my stats to be, all my skills to 40 and try things out. Let me set them all to 80 and try them out. Let me set them all to 100 and try them out. And then I try to measure the DPS and then factor in. This is one of those things I could talk for the rest of the time and a lot more on. Is the whole trying to balance things, as we're talking about a lot about balance. It is really, there's no exact science of how to measure things because there's so many edge cases. Like what should the DPS of a bow be versus a sword? What's the advantage of having range? How do you factor that in? There's just a lot of these like guesses that you have to make and just trying to figure things out. That there's no exact rules. It's really just a judgment call. So right now, in my judgment, the swords hit pretty well. I don't see any sword people complaining about it right now, except you. Maybe we should move on. Cut that part.
Yeah, hey, we told you quit standing like
remember we don't
no
want
arrows
any
on your
more-
own back.
We do
There's a
not,
10-second backup thing.
no more videos.
Yeah, can you
All right.
can we have that bleak meter?
Yeah. Gildor asks, when will we see Chaos Magic? So, while Chaos Magic does need some love, there is an entire school of that. So maybe you're missing the Chaos symbol in the middle of the.
They want
Chaos.
cooler though.
They want more.
Right now, I think the big problem with Chaos Magic is other than Chaos Bolt, there's no use for it.
And when are we
or
making a new school of
PvE.
virtue magic? That's what I want to know.
Viewership just
Virtue
went
is
up
not
20%.
the-
I think they are sharing this video now.
Virtue is not the opposite of chaos.
Yeah.
Order is
I didn't say it was the
of
opposite. I just
chaos.
said we need more of it.
But yeah, so the problem with Chaos Magic right now is most people see it as a school. There's a lot of stuff in there that one requires only is beneficial or useful if you're using the random dealt system. Haven't even talked about heat system stuff yet. Big change going in for R42. But also, it is also a lot of PvP only stuff. So the people, like there's some people right now who you basically can't be competitive unless you've got, you got to have your torpid torments and your chaotic feedbacks and your confusion. But if you're a mid to even, somewhat upper tier PvE player, plays with a mostly locked deck, you're never going to use any of that stuff. So it needs a lot of consideration in that sense. But that was kind of always the idea was chaos. Like what's more chaotic than the random deck that some people love and some people hate.
Right. And PvP is more chaotic than PvE.
Yes. So that was kind of the idea. But I agree. It does need some more love. There's like some unfinished skills and spells in it. So if nothing else, those need to be done.
But there is Chaos Magic. So if this question is when will we see it, there is Chaos Magic. It needs to get better, but there is a whole school of magic. It's the Chaos symbol that's in the middle of the skill tree. So maybe you just missed that. Okay.
He probably thinks it just thinks about that.
All right. Well, then he would say that. I think he just doesn't know it exists. Dargalin, will there be a method of guild members training combat skills with each other like we did in UO, including risk of killing each other but for mutual skill gain?
Is there a risk of killing each other? Dueling?
Well, yeah, you'll kill it.
So that's one of the decisions we made a long time ago was to avoid the, trying to pay attention to the risk versus reward aspect of things. Having I can fight you and then you fight me and then I fight you, or I summon an Earth Elemental and you fight the Earth Elemental and then I summon the Firewall. We tried to avoid that type of stuff where you can get to the best way to get to the top progression is to do all these things really have no risk involved with them, which is where the whole, rather than it being a strict use-based system, it's a hybrid system where you earn experience by doing actual adventuring, actual questing, actual dangerous stuff or things with consequences. And then the actual skill use is where you actually apply the experience. So I actually still get people complaining about, I saw somebody macroing on a gust ball, which I try to tell people I do watch for that type of stuff. I usually don't get there in time to verify what they're doing, but also it's the application experience. All they're doing is taking experience they've already earned and applying it to a skill, and that is not, don't do it. Don't macro, never macro. We're not saying it's okay to macro. I'm just saying that that kind of falls into the same category of all it was doing was giving you away. I mean, we all did the UO thing where, like, day one is you get a stack of pennies and you put it on your attack key. And that's kind of the thing we were trying to avoid. And that kind of falls in that same category.
Pennies, I never thought of that.
Pennies?
There used to be all kinds of ways.
Hockey puck is actually.
Everybody would talk about the things.
Was that, that's interesting about UO. That's the first time I ever heard about people literally, physically setting keystrokes down as their macro. It was obviously before the days of programmable mouse and keyboards. But I wonder if this really the first time there was kind of mass physical macroing in that
I just
way.
held my finger down for like days. Never left the chair.
Hockey puck.
Anyway.
You guys had it all wrong. Hockey puck, man.
We have
we
actually have a question from Gray Mouse or Sky to me, Barrick. What is the expected end time for this postmortem? Postmortems are typically about an hour to 2 hours, an hour and a half average. And where are you? I'm right here. Doing the ops over here.
Yeah. All right, Sir Grant, how about some combo love for pole arms?
How about some love for pole arms? For those who didn't know, I did take a small pass at pole arms. I actually was able to get DPS somewhat close to what the others were. I was trying something to make pole arms. This is, again, as I was mentioning before, the whole apples and oranges and trying to figure out what's the balance for it. I don't want to just make...
Okay, so again, guys, for those who just started watching this, if anyone is watching this, I'm playing Shroud of the Avatar, or I'm watching the Postmortem, the R41 Postmortem by Portalarium while playing or mining in Elysium mines.
Overall, DPS is actually still lower, but again, as I go on to the apples and oranges and how to make direct comparisons, polearms are also tend to have a longer range and you have fewer missed shots because you got a little out of range from somebody, and they also tend to hit more players. The one-arm polearms don't hit more players, but one-arm polearms this release got the poison bonus that they're more effective if you use them for poison. But the other thing is, what's the value of, if I can do 50 DPS, but it's all very consistent, or I can do 40 DPS, but occasionally I get hits in for 100, what's the value of that? So again, when I'm talking about apples to oranges type considerations, that's one of the things it's hard to measure the value of.
Although, by the way, you did
big hits.
So I want to ask you the same question again, but with the following challenge, because I know you've thought about this and we've talked about it a lot. One of the things that I bring back to Chris periodically is occasionally I will come to the feeling that and I think some of you are maybe vocalizing this as well, where when we face with exactly this problem, if I can do a sword that does 10 points of damage every time, or have a polearm that alternately does 5 points and 15 points, the average is still 10. And either one of those could level up and be tougher, but if they were equally matched, even though one is lumpy and the other is smooth, the damage over time would still average out. In which case, in my mind, there's nothing remotely interesting about either one of those. So it has to be something more explicitly rock, paper, scissors than still averaging the same damage per second. And I'm not talking about for PvP. Okay. I'm talking about for PvE. Yes. And so in the case of PvE, the case that I commonly make, and one of the things we're working on from a monster AI and monster resistances and monster interactions, the case goes like this. Let's suppose, we're all facing, I run into a field of skeletons. Some of them are stronger, some of them are weaker. Their levels are a little bit varied. And so if I have a weapon that does 30% more or 30% less damage than somebody else does, I don't think 30% up and down it just means it'll take me 30% more or 30% fewer strokes to finish the battle. And if I'm fighting something that's tough, I might have to be backing away. I mean, if it's now 30% tougher than me, I might have to be more careful, but I'm still not going to fundamentally change the way I engage that creature in combat. The only thing that's going to make me change the way I interface in combat is if, in my mind, there's a much more radical success or failure. So, for example, if you shot arrows at skeletons that tend to go through their ribs and miss them, well, then arrows just wouldn't be a very good weapon to use on skeletons. And when we talk about things like that, the pushback from players is if they keep shooting their arrows at skeletons and they keep missing, then suddenly skeletons are way too tough for them, and versus switch to a sword, they somehow think that something's broken or complain about things from a different angle. So we're constantly negotiating to try to find what is the severity of resistances or tactical changes that we can encourage you to make to face different creatures and to face different weapons and different kinds of armor. And that goes back to the thing you were saying about the cloth and plate and chain. Where some might be better against and leather, some might be better for bludgeons, some might be better for edges, slashes, and some might be better for stab kind of things. And that way you'll go, oh look, that person's wearing chainmail. The slash is not going to help very much, but that arrow might open up those rings, and so that might be a better choice.
And hitting you with a hammer is really effective.
Exactly.
Yeah, the three are impact, slash, and piercing. Right. So that's giving those relative numbers. And all that's going to do is it'll appear on your armor type. It'll have ratings for each of those three that'll average out to about 1. But keep all the rest of its own stats. So it'll become more effective. Like chainmail will become more effective for slashing. It'll probably be around the same.
And if you think about creature hides, they can go to that same thing. Like think of a dragon's scale as sort of like plate. Think of troll's skin is more like leather, and so that will also tell you, or could inform you as to what weapon combinations are better. If we run into a group of bad guys, we might go, oh look, you're using the polearm, you go smash the skeleton's ribs, or you're using a impact weapon. That's probably really good against those brittle little skeletons. I'm using the bow. That's probably not so good against the skeletons. Let's change which one of us is targeting which creature or opponent.
Right. Chattel asks, is it possible to allow us to be able to fish sitting down?
I've read that a few times.
I already have a Jira for it. Yes, we're going to fix it. You can't now, but we will fix it and make it. Kurt, do monsters also have a max resist %?
But I'm not sure what that means, like max resist for things. It's all a number that can go up to infinity for both players and creatures. So no, they do not. There are some that are on that basically have I am immune type flags set to them, so they're completely immune, so you'll never affect like a phoenix with fire or sun magic, I think, or a dragon with fire. But no, there's no real max resist for players or for creatures.
Okay. Baron Drokus asks, when will player body parts no longer be part of the ransom system, meaning you can't pay the ransom to have them back? We've had this Jira in the backlog for a long time. Just other priorities have come up, so we're going to do it eventually, just haven't gotten there yet.
And again, this is one of those times where I like to remind people that we have, although some tasks may seem simple, they're way more complicated than they really seem on the surface. And then we also have problems where we have, for instance, that one, Burning Toad is the one who'd be doing that. I'm pointing where his office is. He's not actually in the room. He's that one. See him. Actually, right now he's in Cozumel. So that's why you're not going to get it right now, is because he's in Cozumel, taking a much
Cozumel?
Cozumel.
Not Cozumel.
Whatever. Anyways.
Caramel.
Cozumel.
Caramel.
Anyways, there we have, he's the guy that would be doing that. He wrote the original system. He would need to add that on, and he has been crazy busy. So we do kind of have a lot of tech silos. We usually have backups for everything. So if somebody gets hit by a bus or whatever, we can recover fairly easily. But in the short term, it will take his backup 5 times as long to do it as it will take him. So he's the guy to do it. It's kind of sitting in his queue, and it just hasn't made it there because he's been super busy with builds and other stuff. So sometimes when there's these things that seem simple, they're not as simple as they seem. Like that one, for instance, is all server-based, and there's like escrow involved, and you got to have like multiple transactional stuff, and splitting that up is a big deal. And then there's UI issues involved and other stuff. But also, in addition to that, sometimes things don't get done because we have limited number of people with skills needed to do that particular task.
All right. So we're going to answer a few more questions, and then we'll be signing off. But as usual, questions that we missed, we will get answered this week. Goal will be to get them answered by the end of this week, and we maybe do some more prizes.
Final prizing?
Sure, we can do the final prizing.
Okay, so prizes again. Come on, Loom, mention my name. Call my name.
I do not, sir. I owe you a drink. It's a good thing they can't. I'm going to challenge you guys. I'm challenging him.
Okay.
Okay, you just interrupted everyone to get a drink, Richard, so just pointing that out.
Come on,
$10
Loom.
photos to Starr.
Ah, not me.
Lord British fur-collared coat to Zenner Prime.
Ah, not
a
me
Dark
again.
Star fur-collared cloak to Sinedra.
Ah, not me again.
And the main prize, which is
Okay, the book,
in
the book,
front
the
of
book, the book, the book, the book, the book, the book.
Richard, which hopefully he will
Come on,
write
come on, come on, the
something
book, the
in
book.
front of it to you.
Give the book to me.
Also,
Okay.
a mission patch from when he went up to the International Space Station.
Ah, look at that. It also has an autograph.
And that's your prizes for today.
Okay, so unfortunately I didn't win again, but congratulations to everyone who won. Who won something. Not me though.
All right. Let's see. Jackknife notes that hitching seems to have gotten worse for him in R41. Was this due to the move to Unity 5.6?
Aha! We have not moved to Unity 5.6. So
Aha.
I'm going to say no, that was not the cause. We did not
That's
pay
safe.
attention. In R5, or in the last release, we did absolutely zero work. And that is one of those many things that magically gets worse over time due to similar issues code rot. If someone's not paying attention to it, someone will almost certainly add stuff to make hitching worse, add loading in the background, add other stuff. So really it probably just got worse because nobody was paying attention and something new was added to Dragonlance. And yes, we will be paying attention to that. That was actually one of the top things listed in the how to make combat better. Fix hitching. That was actually one of the probably top 5 things that came up.
Do you have a strategy?
Yeah, go and find out what's causing the hitching and fix it.
Okay.
Brilliant! It's dozens of things. It's lots of things, and some of them are easy to fix, and some are not so easy. The big thing that used to be that long hitches long ago would be when you would use particle effects, you would create the particle effect right there, and you'd have to create multiple copies of it. And a lot of times, like you got guys in there like doing fireball. It's like we didn't have enough copies, and yeah, I mean, we're caching things, we're making sure things are pre-created, we're making sure stuff isn't blocking. But yes, something was probably added, and I don't know what it is, because I've heard that from multiple people that hitching got worse in R41.
All right. Mischievous Dragon asks, would you create a fire death animation for the avatars who die from fire damage? Actually, I wrote this up as soon as I saw it because I think it would be awesome. Because it made me think of Crusader, No Remorse, and the fire death animation, and that was awesome.
Yes, in fact, all of us pine for all of us who were around back then pine for the days of Crusader and the glorious deaths by various means. So yeah, so the more we can have anyone that is on fire screaming about it,
trying to put themselves out,
So you
on the ground.
You guys went to Crusader. I was thinking more like Postal, which was you could drink gasoline and then you could pee and then set things on fire that way.
This whole fur cloaks that were given away was probably a bad idea. We should have done more summer stuff. Like anti-fire something. I don't know if we have any of that, but
fire
it's no longer winter.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about?
That's a good point.
Mischievous Dragon asks about what about multiple NPC participants in the conversation system?
Lum, you want to talk about that?
We do have multiple NPCs in the conversation system. I addressed that in the forum post today. We've had them in for quite a while. Charlotte and Edvard, for example, will talk to each other and to you during this whole bridge tutorial. I'm not sure what the question is.
So there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that the camera doesn't dynamically focus on the character as they're talking, which is something that eventually we'll have to add. We just don't have that right now. But in terms of the NPCs actually talking to you, yes, they do that already.
All right. Ezelf asks, will there ever be discounts on player-owned town upgrades? Maybe as a choice in the wheel in the next telethon. Yes, great idea, and we will add that to the next telethon as one of the sales. So thanks for the suggestion.
Listening to your feedback and acting on it.
All right. Let's see. Seamus McGinnis asks, when a pot owner makes changes to biome or template, can you make it so all player lots can automatically move to the owner of the lot's magic mover slot? Yes, that is in the backlog as a task we want to do.
Also on that Burning Toad guide, too. Instead of doing that, work it down in Cosmel Scuba Diving.
Yes, but he's also the person who's going to be doing rent for you guys. So everyone be nice to him. And he's in charge of the patcher and all of our builds.
And I don't think he's had a real vacation in a couple of years.
All right. Let's see.
Well, we have a question here from Brezen. Where is Starr reading all these questions from?
From his iPad! Oh, wait. I vote.
I'm reading.
No, I think they're actually asking where the questions are coming from.
Why don't you tell them, Starr?
Oh, okay. So when we post, when we make the announcement for our postmortem, we make a post on our webpage, and in that post we say, please put questions here, and we'll answer those questions. And so we try to answer those questions first. If by some miracle we get through all those questions, then we answer questions that are being posted live in Discord. Unfortunately, we almost always have way too many questions there first, and so we rarely get to the questions in Discord, although I picked one from Jackknife. I'll pick another random one before we sign off.
Random.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, here you go. Chris, Dax Stigler asks, can you please explain the pie chart you posted in your blog today? What does it represent?
That we can use that as my usual segue into pimping my blog if you want to go read about the stuff I'm working on. That the pie chart that I posted today was actually as I listened to feedback from players on worried about certain things getting nerfed or this zone or that zone being over rewarding. That pie chart shows the entire sum of all the gold value created from the top 50 zones. Not 100%, but the top 50 basically handles, that's 95% of the total golden including game. Yeah, or more. So that pie chart shows the relative amount of how much gold came out of each of those scenes. Out of the top 50, that's, and the thing I was trying to make sure people noticed was the Elysium mines. Basically right now generates 20% of all the gold in the entire game. And also when I talk about gold versus those, the gold number that's there is not what you can sell it to for another player. That's one of the other things is a lot of that gets sold for more than the actual vendor value. The gold value that's listed on that is purely the vendor value. I'm trying to make pie charts with my finger down here, trying to help my brain. But yes, that's the amount of the vendor. If you took that, not vendor, if you took that and sold it to a merchant, that's what you'd get. The actual vendor amount might be more than that. So yes, that just showing that there's a couple of scenes in the game that generate basically 50% of all value, wealth in the game.
All right, so with that note, I think we'll do our sign-offs. We'll start with Richard.
Yeah, well, again, just like we start.
Okay, so I guess the Telethon, the hangout, the postmortem for R41 is ending, and right now Lord British is just giving us his last message. Well, not his actual last message for this post-mortem. Final words for this post-mortem.
The finishing process is
not only the most exciting, it's the most important. And if you get to this point in a game and you have the luxury of doing the cleanup and polish and rework to make it sing and make it great, then I at least have seen really great results down through the years. And so I feel that that's where we're at now. We've got all the fundamental pieces in place. We're now down to revisiting and refining major subsystems and going back through and polishing things up while we finish the end of the content, the last maps that'll be going in over the next months. And so I am at least already, I would say I'm very proud of where we are now, and I'm very excited about the game that we'll be ultimately delivering to you guys now. So I think we're gonna have a fun journey ahead for the next few months together. Thanks.
Chris?
Just like to thank everybody for their patience and understanding when things don't get done release to release, since a lot of times it's me Here, let me do the underwater thing. But also apologies to when I do get to those things and the task is to balance the thing that you love. Just a note for those that I see talking in chat about me mentioning Elysium mines, and they think I'm going to nuke Elysium mines. So just so you know, I don't do the nuking on those things. I've never set a